Be sure to introduce yourself, please.
My name is Joseph Young. My topic is about autonomous commercial vehicles that would consist of, i.e., the tractor trailers and large commercial trucks. These are self-driven vehicles when I'm speaking of autonomous. And I found that in terms of a title, as I'm reading about this thing, what grabbed me was ready or not, these self-driven vehicles are coming. They're coming. Tractor and trailers, self-driven. And these self-driven vehicles, these large commercial trucks, while they're still in the testing phase, with data still have a body in the cab. You have a man that sits back in the cab with these vehicles under the wheel as the truck careens down the highway doing their testing. They're testing most out west.
Oh, right.
Most out west right now, but that's just the testing phase. And just keep in mind, my thought process in this whole issue is going to be how these things will fit here on 495.
Great. That's what I want.
Through this area.
That's exactly what I want, yeah.
So you have a cab that's careening down the road. And for me, the question is how safe these vehicles are. How safe are these things? And one of the issues I'm dealing with was, as I mentioned to you earlier, Ricky, was that just the focus. But my thing is how safe. But then also I mentioned last week, how is it going to affect us economically? So I just need to tighten that situation up. I'll listen to
the professor
to the class,
hassling you.
On how to tighten this up. But those are one of my major concerns here. The highway, the question of how safe these vehicles are, and even how they affect it, are just my major concerns about the autonomous vehicles. Right now, I do have an interview set in the morning with Mr. Mike Camisa of the American Trucking Association. And some of the literature, as a matter of fact, that I'm reading about this stuff in my sources, I have gotten a couple of American Truckers Association folks.
This is excellent
stuff, but I was able to take the time to walk down to the American Trucking Association and found a contact to get an interview.
So this is right down the street from you.
Yes, right. As a matter of fact, the guy that I'm interviewing, he works in the Virginia office. He'll be in D.C. tomorrow. And he said, "Can you meet me tomorrow morning?" I said, "Yes, I'll meet you."
Great, thank you. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it.
My major concern and question about this technology again is the safety of the vehicles. And like I said, most of the research, the industry is expecting to have these things running in about some of the literature I got was from 2015, 16, 17.
So really,
they seem to be looking around 2025 to have these things really rolling regularly, but they're still in test. As a matter of fact, they're talking about comparing the autonomous cars with these vehicles, and they're saying this trucking thing is going to happen quicker.
Yeah, no, that's what I think too.
Yeah, it seems to be going to happen quicker. And
but see, this is Joe. This is where this is very interesting because this is like it's like the cave. We just assume because they're big, they're more dangerous.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily follow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, who says?
Yeah.
And the other thing is we can plan and give them areas to run on their own, so they're not even coming in contact, and whatever, and practical, concrete contact with cars.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, they right now the tests are pretty much, they're going 120, 200 mile tests, and they may have a car leading to say, hey, just for testing purposes.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But there still are situations where we have, through the tests, some of those concerns and questions I have too about the situations where we have sudden snowstorms.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, cool.
Ice storms.
Yeah.
And that's what we have here locally. And out west, you know, they got to deal with sandstorms and that kind of stuff.
Right.
That may suddenly pop up.
This is once again why, for our purposes, focusing on a certain place is so important.
Right.
Because of the difference in climate.
Right. So that's why I got it here. Not gonna deal with sandstorm as much, but we get sudden ice storms or sudden snowstorms popping up.
Right, right, right.
And with that, as I'm reading more about the technology, you know, I just wonder, you know, as we have to deal with this, I wonder, you know, how much safer will it be? This is 2017. How much safer will it be in 8 years from now?
But, you know, I remember hearing about the 250-mile-an-hour trains, and everyone thought they were going to be really unsafe.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
200-mile-an-hour trains.
250-mile-an-hour trains.
These things-
And that was just whatever. That was relatively recently. Now, France is completely hooked up with super fast trains.
Yeah.
China, too.
Trying to get over here, by the way.
I mean, you're right. But we're 40 years behind now.
Yeah.
30 years behind.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, and I think I'm gonna have to deal with some of my prejudice because as I'm reading some of this stuff,
Yeah,
I
fantastic.
think what you're saying is you know, as the literature, they're trying to make the argument, hey man, it's coming. You know, they're pretty much saying it's coming.
Ready or not.
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
The question is, you know, will the cameras they use be able to handle the sudden brightness of maybe the sun or
Right.
bright lights?
Right. Good point.
Will the sensors and the code be able to match the situational awareness of you know, you may have a guy that was a professional trucker. You know, will it be able to handle the situational awareness of a professional trucker who has attained skills over many years of being a professional driver with an instant situation, a situation of road hazard of poor surface conditions or unpredictable car drivers.